You're back. Good. What can I help you with? Not an umbrella, I hope. I don't need one myself, you see.
Damn, I should put on my raincoat. One up there.
All around you, rain keeps falling down. On the wooden boards she's standing on, and on the water around you.
Yeah, neither do I.
Very rugged. Good choice. Now, I suspect you had questions. Nothing like talking to pass a rainy day. Am I right?
By the way, I've talked to Everett Clark.
You have? And how did you like Mr. Clare?
Not at all.
Time to choose sides.
He's a beautiful man. Beautiful and just. Hero, bloated rainbow socialist. I can do business with him. He is not champion chosen in the cause of capital. It's not important if I like him. I was doing my job. I didn't.
Oh, come on now. He has his uses. How else would he have stayed in power all these years? Or wait, actually, corruption. That's how he's done it. Fantastic, Verne-like corruption, reaching into the bowels of the earth.
Yeah.
The position of my unusual colleague does not reflect official policy. I hope you understand. The RCM does not pick sides.
Of course. And I don't expect you to share anything he told you with me. I'm not a corrupt Verne myself. However, if you felt like discussing something, how could I stop you? Are we not human? Are we not curious to hear another person's take? It's only natural. We would only be gossiping.
Yeah, listen, I might be a communist, but honestly, you know, deep down, if you're a real communist, all people are equal. I like Joyce. She seems cool.
Tell her she'll like you for it.
Yeah?
Yes, your disgusting necktie agrees completely. Let's gossip.
Yeah.
Oh. That's so helpful of him.
I know,
The
right?
lieutenant looks at you, and you can swear his jaw muscle is trembling. When I said be wacky, I didn't mean wildly, grossly irresponsible and damaging to the RCM.
Unconventional police officers sometimes lose their guns. They then go around and tell people about this, to gauge their reactions. It's all part of detecting.
Incredible. Simply incredible. And how is it going? Has this detecting produced a gun?
No.
Well, maybe he's not as helpful as you thought then. Is there anything else?
He's trying to help.
That's
The lieutenant, when I s-
Unconventional.
incredible. Simply incredible. Did he now? Well, then it should be any day now. Unless, of course, he's lying to you. Of course, Detective. Should something come up later down the road, don't be afraid to drop by for a chat. Until then, is there anything I can help you with?
Yeah, of course. So, tell, So you can't talk to me about this guy?
That's the man who was killed. I'm afraid this is a discussion for once we've cleared the lynching question.
So you know something about the tattoos?
Better not tie the fourth day to the bat's day on this. I hope there is something else I can help you with.
I didn't get a word of that.
She wants to answer the question. Protocol keeps her from it.
Ah, I see. Hold on, do you think you can give me a lowdown on reality?
This reality.
It's related to the medical episode.
Ah, yes, the episode. Sounds like an acute case of encephalopathy now that I think of it.
Don't be phased, madame. He functions perfectly well. He only needs a lowdown on all of reality.
We may be here a while then. Ask away, officer. I'll help however I can.
All right, we're in. I know these all look good, but begin with the first, okay?
Alright, where are we?
We're in Martinez, baby.
Maybe.
A casual term of endearment popular among the 50-plus crowd. It's a disco holdover, pay it no heed.
Hey, I'm a disco holdover myself.
Aren't we all?
What is
Martinez is a district of Revachol. A very small district tucked away near the industrial harbour, north of the 881 and Jamrock.
Yeah, in all honesty, I learned the most about it when Kim was talking to me about the pissing competition.
You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say.
Yeah.
Forgotten even. Shelled to smithereens during the Revolution. It has its charms, just not this time of year.
Tell me more about Martinez.
I'm not a good ambassador. I've only been here once before, as a teenager. Not a lot has changed. There are ruins, a terminal, fishing boats, reeds, boys with boxy shoulders. As I told you, Martinez used to be a province, a workers' resort before the city swallowed it and the artillery did its part. Now the reeds are the real star of the show here. The further down the coast, the wilder it gets.
You mentioned a sea.
It's not really a sea, it's the Bay of Revachol. And the bay feeds into the ocean. Yes, we're on an island in an ocean. The world's largest body of water, the Insulindic.
Vast, lukewarm and unknowable, flowing in and out of sight.
So, what's the name of this island?
Caillou, as
Okay.
you already know. Imagine a pebble. A smoothed over pebble amidst a great blue sea, misshapen, cracked. The cracks are the river Esperance. We're in the delta of this river, on the 6th branch, the Martinez distributary.
It is clear this pebble is of enormous value to her.
Alright. Okay, what's
Revachol?
Revachol?
Revachol is what you call a city,
Yeah, but what kind of city?
the great kind.
Ooh.
As if it's self-explanatory, beyond patriotism, a fact.
History detective. They built this city to resolve history. Our part in it, at least. Our centuries.
Alright, who built it?
The nations of the Occident, or migrant workers from Semenine and Ile Marat, depending on your creed.
When was Revachol built?
In the DeLorean century. 380 years ago.
Well, why will it resolve history?
They say it's where the terrible questions of our time will be answered. The tensions are highest, the fault lines deepest. By that I mean conflicts. Ideological conflicts. The stuff of men.
Why,
We're standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island able to sustain up to 200 million people in the middle of the Insulindic Ocean, the world's connective tissue. It's where the money is.
So we're on the periphery.
Speak for yourself, officer. I'm well known in certain parts. As to the place, you're right. We are.
A collection of tall ghosts behind the water vapor, light reflected off their glass windows.
22 kilometers from the center of the world. That soldering iron is the Bank of the World building. The bottom floors are Insiacom. Coalition government, Insulindian Mission Command.
Silence. She lowers her hand. The water, the light. It's as though you're seeing it for the first time. There is no recognition, only the immensity of the sea and the cold radiating from it. She observes your eyes scanning the horizon, then breaks the silence, slowly. This is one thought you need to complete. Where are you?
Was there something else you wanted to know? I remember something about a lowdown.
This has been informative. Thank you, ma'am. I'm sure my memory-impaired partner has many more questions to ask. about even more fundamental aspects of reality. Might I suggest not asking them all right now? Ma'am, Messier will be here later too, and tomorrow. Isn't that true, ma'am?
Absolutely. My commitment here is long-term.
But won't I be lazy if I don't do it all
Oh, of
now?
course not. You are already diligent for getting this far, and diligent boys remember where they left off.
Indeed. I'm always at your service.
Alright. Oh. What times are these?
These are unimportant times, Detective. You and I were born after the dust had settled. 1,000th of a second too late.
Too late for what?
For the big time.
The smile of a predator. No doubt what she's got in mind.
Yeah, predatory tree.
All men are predators, dear. Nothing much to be done about that. It's all a matter of where you get to file your teeth. The revolution. It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle.
Would you say there's a bunch of apes duking it out?
Why, of course. We're talking Duke Out Central. Full swing intraspecies warfare.
And apes, were they evil?
No. I would say the apes were neutral.
Okay, neutral.
On the other hand,
Who got shot in the head?
those would be the communists. Generally speaking, 40 million people got shot in the head during the World Revolution. But the communists, they all got shot in the head.
Wow.
Oh, and the anarchists too. They shot them well. So well, one forgets they even existed.
Damn.
Did they ever? Before they got shot themselves, they shot 2 million people.
Wow. It's a tragedy.
Yes. The Red Deluge. The Insulindian Deluge, they call it. Yes. An acute thiamine deficiency can be exacerbated by alcoholism. Exacerbated means made worse. Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head, or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts differ. It was unceremonious. Just as well, he wasn't actually the king. Just the king's nephew. The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad.
Oh. Cowardly king.
I prefer the term risk-averse. King Guillaume was nobody's fool. He could smell a PR disaster brewing, so he got out alive, and his nephew Fricelle got shot in his place. Him and tens of thousands of his wonderfully fascist kingsmen. It was a wild time.
Who got the mineral rights?
The liberals got the mineral rights. And by mineral rights, I mean everything.
And by liberals, you mean?
Liberals are usually middle-class people, Detective. Or the remaining gentry. The beneficiaries of the pre-revolutionary arrangement. Some were rich enough to stay with the Constitution, with monarchy. Big mistake. Others bet on the revolution. They were called the ultras, or ultra-liberals. They fared well.
How did the liberals win it all?
They didn't win so much as survive. We were the last ones standing when the war ended. Everyone else got shot in the head, remember?
If everyone got shot, who was there to surrender to?
To foreign intervention. The coalition. Those people really took the mineral rights.
Oh, you just said the liberals already took everything.
The liberals took everything that wasn't nailed to the ground. The coalition took the ground.
Yeah.
The ocean, the laws, and the people. The coalition of nations. Grad, Besque, Vesper, Messina, Oranje, and Supraculture,
Oranje?
the armed center of the world.
Supraculture.
They landed here and ended the revolution. It was the moralist thing to do.
There is bitterness in her voice, tempered with understanding. She is critical, but ultimately understands the cause.
The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way it is. They believe in mineral rights, and not shooting people in the head. At least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing provisional rulers of Revachol now, the coalition government.
The rulers of Revachol, and also the world. These guys are strong.
This is their zone of control. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist.
I don't think I'm a moralist, man.
Of course. Not easy to be moderate about head shooting in your line of work.
When was this kerfuffle?
The turn of the century revolution? Don't answer it. It's a trick question. The revolution began in '02 on the Isla of Grad, though by the end nearly the whole world had gotten involved. It wasn't a who, but a what. A pandemic of Zarat, a particularly virulent prion disease, which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Mazov came along and overthrew the government. It made people overthrow their governments.
Wow. No way. Stop fucking with me.
Indeed. Zarat is a highly infectious microorganism that destroyed brain tissue. The actual causes of the revolution were material. The pandemic only provided the spark. From Revachol and Grad? Not far. The world managed to cauterize itself. Mazov's government was overthrown in '08, and the coalition crushed the Revachol commune 2 years later. It was the end. Why? You and I, officer. Our lives in the zone of control.
Something tells you her life and yours are not that similar. Maybe it's because she has a boat and you have that necktie? A pair of pants?
No doubt. But we share the same time and position on the planet's crust. That counts for more than you think.
That seems like some Jordan Peterson bullshit.
A city-state divided into free market zones under the everlasting interregnum of the Coalition of Nations. And you, of course, the citizens' militia.
The clatter of typewriter keys fills the main hall of the reappropriated silk mill. Precinct 41. Chad Tilbrook presses enter. Outside, Officer Elfboy Williams slams the door of an armored motor carriage.
The zone of control is the third incarnation of Revachol, after the failure of the suzerain and the commune. Modernity. They developed the marvels of the inter-eastlery communication, telematic milieus, radiation, colored plastics. Meanwhile, in Revachol West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade. 43 years. Hard to fathom, I know. The 20s saw a decade of urban war, west of the river leveled, offshore platforms in flames. Still, it's regarded as an improvement on what came before. '08 to '19 was simply hell. The 30s? Things settled down in the 30s. Revachol East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven, with the international community's blessing. For the first time in a long time, it seemed like things were going somewhere. No, it was a market mirage fueled by cocaine and quantitative easing. The 40s dispelled it like a cold splash, an Isla-wide hangover, you might say. And here we are. Welcome to reality, baby. Good question. What would you have done differently?
No, her first.
Oh. Yeah.
And I asked you, past-less detective of the Citizens Militia, what insight has acute encephalopathy given to you?
Here's some wisdom, lady. Say the death thing.
The death thing.
A cold creeps up your spine, reaching its tendrils up your neck, toward the back of your head.
So a quarter of humanity simply lost their minds. And how would you stop a prion, a complex folding protein, unlife, with the technology 50 years ago?
The wind stops, and for a moment, there's silence. The charge dissipates into the dark water. All is quiet on the Martinez inlet.
Oh, was that an awkward thing to say?
A dog barks. A gunshot echoes off the walls of some distant building. A woman's voice.
Pokma by cannons.
Liquidate? That's what King Philip kept screaming from the Sol Aurum. Liquidate! Liquidate! In the end, they liquidated the Sol Aurum, melted the palace cube down to gold and platinum, and sold it for bullets. Strange times.
Opinions expressed here do not reflect the official position of the RCM.
And what is your official position, Lieutenant?
My position, ma'am? My parents got ripped to shreds in the revolution. I would have gone the same way. I was saved by being 2 years old. That's my position. The abattoir.
Understandable.
Well, that's enough about the times.
They are what they are. Who knows? An afterbloom may yet come. Anyway, enough sentimentality. Is there anything else you want to know? It's a neurological disorder caused by a lack of vitamin B in the brain. Symptoms include a retrograde amnesia. It's quite serious. You should get yourself checked out.
She conveys it in short, cold bursts, trying not to invest too deeply in the condition of this doomed detective.
Well, it's either bariatric surgery or long-term alcohol use.
She nods slowly. What this boils down to is, this reality thing is stupid. Blow this joint, grab a bottle, and drain that shit right down your throat.
Yes, and perform autoerotic asphyxiation on yourself with your funny necktie, out in the open somewhere.
What the fuck, necktie? This is what you've been all about secretly deep down?
Wait. This reality thing is the only game in town. It's probably in your interest not to blow it.
I have somewhere to party right now. Wipe that urge from your mind.
She stares at you, head tilted to the side, with a slightly concerned look on her face.
What is...
It remains a mystery what you mean by this something close. This isn't about you. It's about reality.
Huh, alright. Well, what are you?
She won't maneuver her way out of this one.
I am the vilest of the vile. A traitor, a devourer of nations and infants. I am an ultra.
It's sharp.
Dios mío! A liberal.
Yes. I am the nether creature of the Forbidden Swamp. I pushed the king under a shit wagon and betrayed the revolution. My kind surrendered the nation to financial colonists. I can see you thought we'd gone extinct. After all, no sane person identifies as an ultra-liberal anymore. Not in broad daylight. You've got Revachol in your blood. A real nationalist. No? Tell me, now that I've uncoiled myself, are you repulsed?
In her green eyes, you see a mixture of truth and self-satire. Decades of guilt and pride. Forgive her.
Yeah.
But only because you like pearlescent teeth and those light green eyes.
No, not because of that. I forgive you.
I do hope so. I hope we can remain collegial despite my affection for regicide and multiculturalism. We didn't mean to kill the king, I assure you.
Oh, I'm glad you killed
When
the
the
king.
dust settled, the liberals were the only ones left to clean up the mess. By virtue of their survival, they were handed enormous power to shape the future. This was all our last generation managed. With due respect to our overlords, the eternal caretaker government that keeps Martinez a monument to the efficacy of its artillery.
While a gentle wind sweeps the streets in the rebuilt east, light drizzle washing it clean, lights go up and motor carriages circulate the tracks.
I would not have relinquished sovereignty to the coalition. Not here in Martinez, and not in the Stella Maris or Delta Beachheads either. If not for my own sake, then for my daughters. We had an obligation to defend our sovereignty. We should have burned the whole Isola down rather than let them have it.
Dark orange flames reflect in her green eyes. An oil fire on the ocean.
You're a patriot?
Yes, I suppose I am. But I wouldn't be a patriot anywhere but here.
Seditious talk, man.
Perhaps. My intellectual vanity will be my undoing.
No. You have daughters?
Yes. Whatever else I am, I'm also a mother. And a wife. Now, shall we return to reality?
Yeah. What's this?
A bird? A sphenicid? A flightless bird of the polar regions?
Keep guessing.
Some sort of krill hunter? No, wait. You're an ancient ruin. A symbol of hubris and decay. Half submerged in some salty sea.
You're saying I'm ruined?
Of course you're not, my dear. I'm just terrible at guessing games.
I meant, what is this place here?
This is the pier of Rue de Saint-Ghislaine, 33A, where the tenants have been kind enough to rent me a slot. Or two. A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see. And new buildings, bâtiments. After les bâtiments nouveaux. But 33A and 33B are not nouveaux. They're old. This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall. A real high-rise by the standards of the last century. Built to mirror the skyscrapers across the bay in the Delta. That was before the war, of course. Mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once primo real estate, before the cannons lopped 4 or 5 stories off. Splat, splat.
You could be wrong, but from here it appears as if she's running the brush across her throat in a soaring motion.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that kid's a fun one. What is that?
The girl in the old lady rags.
Yeah.
Looks like a sullen and rebellious member of a teen infraculture.
Infraculture?
Yes. You and I belong to the Supraculture. We're common, the herd. The music on the radio, the food in the chain restaurant, those are all too popular for the girl in the old lady rags. She prefers a fantasy world, an infraculture with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There is no refuge from the supraculture.
I actually understood all of that, but it explained to me like I'm a child.
Young people who dye their hair funny colors and wear old people's clothes are stupid, and their little rebellion is self-defeating. All right, what next?
What about reality, huh?
A strange coldness comes over you. It's on the tip of your tongue, a doubt of sorts already in your head, but it's not fully formed yet. You have to wait and return to this later, once the jamais vu thought is complete.
Okay.
Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Anything else?
What's about this drug
It's
trafficking?
quite straightforward. Someone is using Terminal B to smuggle raw ingredients from the Samaran Isola into Revachol with the Union's blessing. Wild Pines has suspected it for years.
Ingredients for what, ma'am?
Meth and dextroamphetamine, GBL, and various synthetic psychedelics. Honestly, it might be quicker to say what you can't make from the stuff.
Shit, yeah, baby. It's the party pipeline. Why would you want to shut that down?
Yes. After they clear the terminal, we lose track. The actual production is taking place at various sites in and around Jamrock Quarter, north of here.
Wild Pine seems to be well apprised of the local drug trade, ma'am. Do you mean to say the Union also produces the product? Sells drugs, I mean?
We're in logistics. It's our business to know. And no. As far as the company knows, the Union does not produce it. They transport the ingredients for a cut. Yes, but you won't get anything out of Evrat and the Dock Workers Union. Still, every chain has its weak link.
Am I gonna need bulk cutters for this?
Unlikely, officer. I'm talking about the lorries. Once the ingredients reach Jamrock, they're distributed to a network of local manufacturers, well beyond our grasp. But in transit, they may be vulnerable. Perhaps you've noticed that a number of lorries are tangled in a traffic jam at the roundabout just now. Interview the drivers who are still hanging about. One of them might be waiting for a crucial shipment.
Her irises are light green, like the river Esperance in bright daylight, upstream where it's clearer.
I'll be explicit. If you find this driver, I will share company secrets with you.
It's no coincidence they're stranded like that, right?
No. We asked East Motor Track to raise the drawbridge. The road company is a partner of one of our subsidiaries. However, this is a limited time opportunity. Once the complaint has been processed by the Trade Committee, they'll have no choice but to lower the drawbridge, and the operation will continue. Thousands of litres of raw ingredients will pour onto the streets of Revachol. Not the east across the river, but the west. The vulnerable, the weary.
A cold breath rushes in from the bay, making its way down the alleyways and potholed streets. From Martinez to Jamrock, in the traffic you hear the clinking of glass vials, concealed beneath tarpaulin. Or is it just your teeth chattering in the cold?
Fucking misery.
A lot of it. It comes in from large Samaran factories in South Safre, Sigai, and Simyao. The literage they must get from this terminal alone must be oceanic.
Well, at least this solves one mystery.
What is that, Lieutenant?
Why I had to call East Motor Track and beg them to open a drawbridge for me. I'd wondered since I first drove in, on my motor carriage.
I am sorry for the inconvenience, Lieutenant Kisaragi, but we need them trapped here. This is a unique opportunity. I'm sure you understand.
What proof do you have that the Union has evolved?
How do you think they're financing this strike? There are thousands of unpaid dock workers going strong for the 4th month straight.
There was a shakedown of local businesses preceding the strike. Many were squeezed to bankruptcy to fund it.
With all due respect to these desert cacti, the contents of a few cash registers cannot provide for 2,000 men. The local businesses can scarcely provide for themselves. Precisely. Smuggled out of that very gate at night, most likely, then loaded onto lorries and driven to Jamrock. You simply need to find one driver who will open up to you.
It sounds like she tried looking into it herself, though she's clearly not the type your typical lorryman would confide in.
Why did you come early?
We did. On more than one occasion. Apparently, there's some sort of inter-precinct disagreement about whose jurisdiction this area falls under.
Ah, yes, the pissing
We
competition.
know the company has launched its own probe into the Union's alleged involvement. We also know it's come up empty. It's not just the RCM. No one's been able to find any hard evidence.
Well, here's your chance, officers.
Well, I suspect the one that drives
The
President
two
lynching.
might even be connected.
Or not. Though, if you have evidence to the contrary, I'm eager to hear it.
As eager as I am to share it, Lieutenant, once the job is done.
Okay, I've made my mind up.
Yes?
We'll take this case.
Excellent. According to my reports, there are at least 3 lorry drivers lingering near the roundabout. Hopefully one of them will know something.
Yeah.
It may come to nothing, or it may just blow the case wide open. I can keep the drawbridge up for a few more days at least. You should have the time you need.
Alright.
In the meantime, let me know if there's any other way I may be of assistance.
Thanks.